Alright, so we're rebaling some straw today because it rained last night and we can't do a whole lot of other things other than work in the shop or work in the hay barn. So we're on our way down here to get a couple of bales of straw out of the building, and then we're going to unroll them with the Hustler chainless bale unroller, and then we're going to stack the bales on the gooseneck. So we've been taking them to local farm store and selling them because they've been completely out of straw and they can't get any straw anywhere else. We have these round bales and they need square ones, so we've been making them some. We've already sent 225 up there to them. So we're getting another trailer load ready in case they need them. If they don't need them, then we're going to put them in our barn because we've been selling straw too. There's a lot of people looking for straw right now. So I got to get a couple of bales out of the barn here. I may have to move some pallets. Looks like I'm going to have to. So here we go with the pallets again. All right, so here's the straw. We got quite a bit of it. It's how many? These are 5x5 bales. Looks like they're about 3 layers deep here, stacked 3 high. But anyway, oh, Dorsey's gonna move the pallets for me. That way I ain't got to. That's good, boy. You're strong. But anyway, this straw, it came from the same place that I did some custom straw baling. If y'all remember back when the first time I ever ran a 4700 Massey, I demoed one that belonged to a doctor, where he let me demo it, or he let me use it, let me review it. That's the same place this straw came from. I've been going back every year and custom baling straw, and then we've started buying some of his round bales because it's really good straw. We like it. And but anyway, get these pallets out of the way and get a couple more bales. All right, I want y'all to take a look at this rear spear here. It's a double spear, and it's actually part of the Hustler bale unroller. It's really neat. It actually, these spears go up in the frame, and the hydraulics stay with this spear, so you can drive off and not have to unhook anything. And you can unhook this from in the cab without a rope or anything, just by opening the feed table all the way up, which collapses this cylinder here. It engages right here, the cylinder does, and then the motor that runs it engages right here. This is the motor in there. And Dorsey's raising the loader up and down and making the tractor jump around. But anyway, it works really good when you open or close the cylinder, which opens the feed bed. It trips a latch under here. Woo! And it makes this device here, when you set it down, open up, and he's figured out how to raise it up and down all of a sudden. But anyway, then you can just drive the tractor away from the unit, which is really nice because you can come get more bales, and you get one on the front, one on the back. You can actually even load the machine with this if you don't have a loader. It's pretty cool. So, and you can do it all without getting out of the cab. But anyway, we'll get back at it here. You don't need to buckle up. All we gotta do is get a couple of bales out of here, okay?
2 bales?
Dorsey thinks it's going to be bumpy because the last thing we were doing in this tractor was a food plot, and it had been plowed, and it was bumpy. Wasn't it, buddy? Bumpy. Get turned around here, get this bale that's kind of up in the corner. thing you gotta do when you put the bales in this Hustler Unroller, you gotta make sure you turn them the correct way. And this one is turned the wrong way from the way I need to put it in there, so I gotta turn it around. But I'll just pick it up on the back on the way back through, and I gotta get one out from the top on the next row. We'll see if it's turned the right way. This one is turned the right way, so, and I can tell by the way the straw is laid as it was baled. I'm looking at the way the straw is pointing. It's pointing to the right, and that's the way I need it to point. I'm actually looking at the ends of the straw and just seeing how they were in the bale. So that means the bale was turning this way, so the straw, it was turning like this, which means the hay was, or the straw was feeding in the baler at the bottom like this, and the baler was running. So in order to unroll it, you gotta run it backwards. So I'm looking at the way the straw is laid. As it rolls this way, it kind of folds all the straw, all the ends of it back. So when you look at it, you gotta see the ends the way they're laid, and then you want them to be, when you unroll it, to those ends to be pointing the direction that you turn it when you unroll it. That's the easiest way I've found to do it anyway. I'm sure somebody else has got a better way. I know sometimes the net wrap has a stripe on it or something, but there might be a blue stripe on this net wrap. But yeah, I believe there is a blue stripe on the net wrap. See one on this one, but I see one on behind me. Maybe that stripe was just telling me he was getting low on that wrap.
Point that way, Dad. Point to the right.
Yeah, right. Point to the right. That means we're going to rotate the bale this way, and that's the way it rotates. It's this way. So while the stem's pointing that way. This is a really good tractor to do stuff like this. Good chore tractor. Ain't it, buddy?
I'll put this down for you.
Thank you, buddy. You didn't see my walkie-talkie in here, did you? Lost my walkie-talkie somewhere.
You'll have to tell me.
Yeah.
It's in here. Look in there.
Oh, it ain't in there. I hope I can find it. Alright, so the first step to this is to get the net wrap off. So that's what Sean is getting ready to do. He's cutting it with his knife, and he'll pull it off, and then I'll drop the bale in, and then I'll turn around and undrop the bale off the back, and I'll hook up to it, and we'll get back to work. Now I like to hold the bale over top of it while he does this, because some of it falls off. Sometimes, not always. This time it didn't fall off much. Straw falls apart a lot easier than hay. So, and that also causes some feeding issues too in the beginning, because the straw wants to come off really fast in the very beginning, and then it kind of settles down later on. And I gotta watch what I'm doing here behind me. I'll be right back. Okay, so I had to talk to Sean about, he knew where my walkie-talkie was at the whole time. I thought I lost it. I remember it fell off my belt this morning now when I was working on my truck. I had to put a new crankcase ventilation filter in the top of the engine. 70,000, or close to 70,000 miles. It fell off my belt when I was working on it. Alright, so here's what you do. There's two holes, and they're covered up with straw a little bit, so I don't know that y'all are going to be able to see them really well. But you kind of got to get lined up. I'm raising the loader up in the air because it's kind of a tight fit in front of me with this Arctic trucks in front of me with a load of topsoil. Anyway, I'm getting lined up here with the spears, and they go, there's a couple of big holes you stick them in, and they kind of line themselves up. If you can hit the hole, the holes are tapered, and then it'll go right up in there. And it's latched, so that's all you got to do to hook it up. Now, the square baler's got to be turned on, and Sean's going to turn it on right quick, and then we can start trying to feed this bale. Now we got to raise it up a little bit here to get it against the rollers. I'm going to close the window just so y'all can hear me better, because it gets kind of noisy with the square baler going. Now I'll give the tractor just a little bit of throttle, about 1200 RPMs, and then we'll start trying to feed the bale. And this, you got to be really slow and easy when you first start, or you'll shear a pin. I think the first 6 or 8 bales we done, we sheared a pin every bale. But these bales are different though from what we've been trying to feed, and they do a little better. And I've got the hang of it a little better, so things have been going a little bit smoother. But basically, it just sits there and turns it. It unrolls it about the opposite direction that you think it would. It unrolls and gets the hay kind of as off the bottom of the bale and flips it over and feeds it towards the, towards the square baler. Also, you can just use them to unroll bales out in the field if you want to use them to feed. I reckon a lot of people use them to feed. And we did find out that it works a lot better if you take the wind guard off the baler. It was causing some issues too. Causing the straw to just get kind of bound up and not feed into the baler, and then all of a sudden it would get a big chunk trying to go in and shear the pin. So taking the wind guard off really helped that issue. Right now I'm just working it back and forth, trying to get a little bit off at a time to feed in the baler so we don't choke it up. Eventually, once you get the bale started, you can just turn it on and let it roll for a good long while till you get down to the core of the bale, and then it gets a little tricky finishing the core out. If you ain't careful, you'll throw the whole core over in the baler, and it don't like that. It'll shear the pin pretty quick. You put the whole core in. So you gotta slow down and be careful at the end to make sure the core gets ground or chopped up or beat up good. Teased apart, they call it, teasing it apart. Starting to get this bale started. Starting to get it started. Getting a little bit much in there. Okay, it's doing pretty good. Some of the first bales we tried to bale with this thing were square bales that had been chopped. The baler had a chopper in it, and that was terrible. It made terrible bales. They wouldn't stay together, and this machine would not. It's supposed to be able to handle square bales, but it would not tear those apart. It would just dig in them and sit there and spin. I mean, it would not take them apart. It was just chopped up so fine. But these round bales work. These work really good. We had some 4x5 round bales we were using to start with, and they were rotting on the bottom a little bit, and they were giving us some issues. But these aren't rotting at all, and they're doing really good. Which I don't recommend rebaling rotten hay to sell or rotten straw. We were trying to get the rot off, but even what was left that was good was giving us some trouble. But this stuff right here does pretty daggone good. I also have a speed or a hydraulic flow control on this tractor, and I can speed those rollers up or slow them down if I need to. I'm just running it off of what I've been doing the last couple bales. It's been working pretty good. Let me see if I can jump out here and get a shot without it getting plugged up on me. Kind of give you an idea on how this thing is doing it, or maybe not. It's kind of hard to see what rollers are actually running the straw in there with when you have a bale in there. But as you go, you have to adjust this table occasionally. I'll raise it up a little more to keep the bale pinched in between those feed rollers. And I tell you what, it works pretty daggone good once you get it started. Pretty well pleased with how it works. And I'd like to try hay in it sometime, and I'm sure I'll get to. Probably not by choice, but maybe by need. But anyway, it's not something you want to do unless you have to, I would think, because it's kind of slow. I mean, it takes about 10 minutes, or well, maybe not 10 minutes, but it takes between 5 and 10 to unroll a bale. And you get like this bale here has about 20 square bales in it, and so you can do the math. It takes quite a few bales to start getting a big pile of straw. And you know, I've actually rebaled my bales before, and they had about 16 bales in them of hay, but I don't know how hay vary, you know, and straw compare to each other. Even with the same baler, I don't know that you could get the same amount of straw as you can hay. It just don't pack quite as densely, but I don't know. So but yeah, I don't recommend trying to do this if you have the weather to get the square baler out in the field. That would be the way to bale your hay, not trying to rebale it. This takes time and money, obviously, and equipment, special equipment. And but if you already have the round bales and you need the square bales, then yeah, I mean, if you had a market, you thought you needed the round bales, or if you had to round bale it to get it up before to beat the weather, and that's probably where I'll end up having to do this if I'm trying to beat weather and I have a lot of hay that need to be square baled, or if I bale too many round bales and I need more square bales, then this gives me an option to switch them over to what I need. So, you know, Dad actually bought this machine to do this straw. He's been wanting one for a long time to do straw, but he told me I could use it for hay if I ever needed to do unroll hay. So it gives me options too, which is pretty nice. And I'm just going to go ahead and let y'all just see the whole bale get unrolled here. I mean, y'all basically seen the whole thing while I've talked anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and just let y'all watch me try to get the core work through it, because it is a little bit tricky. Careful, you'll throw that whole wad over in there. You got to be ready to stop the rollers and back the feed table up if that thing starts to go in there. You got to be ready. Don't want to make a mistake here. It's trying to tear the center of the bale apart is what it's trying to do right now, and that's what I want it to do. I don't want it to throw the whole thing out. Here it goes. It's about to throw it out, so I'm going to back it up, let the table down, trying to keep it off from coming out at one time. Sorry, I don't point the camera every which way. Trying to hold the camera and operate the machine. You get down to the core of the bale too, we're having trouble with the bales getting looser that's coming out the chute, so we have to rebale a few of them sometimes. I'm backing the rollers up, just trying to tear it apart more. There we go, it's starting to roll it again. You want it to keep rolling it instead of throwing the whole thing in there. Yeah, we about got it all gone now. Almost done with this bale. Oh yeah, we got it. Got it all in there, and we didn't shear a pin, and we didn't mess anything up. Open it back up, ready for the next bale. Now, this thing here, once you put it all the way back, you take the parking brake off. What you got to do is you can wiggle the 3-point hitch a little bit, and it'll come loose, and you just drive out. See, I never got out of the tractor. Then if I didn't have a front loader, I could just pick the bale up and put another bale in it, but I have a front loader, so I'll use the front loader instead. So I'll get the next bale, cut the net off, and repeat. So that's basically it for the demonstration of it, and let's see if I can get some video of the machine so we can get some details on it while we're not actually using it. So see y'all later. Alright, I want to catch this thing while we wasn't using it here right quick, and well, here it is. You can see it don't have a chain or anything in the floor, and it just uses these beaters right here to tear the hay apart. This lower one kind of turns the hay, and it spins it this way. I'm sorry, spins it this way. This thing turns this way, and the hay rotates around like this, and then this one kind of tears the hay off and rolls it over top and just drops it right off right here. These kind of take the hay away from the little stripper beater, and then it just falls on the ground or into the baler. Both of these beaters turn the same way, but this one turns a lot faster than this one, and I'll turn it on for you so you can see that. But up here where it attaches, I showed you how those spears, they go, there's some straw here, but them spears, they go up in these tubes right here, and here's one of the latches that hold it together. The other latch is right there, and then the cylinder engages right here to move the deck. And here, let me turn it on. It takes 2 hydraulic ports to operate it, and I don't think you would want it on a much smaller tractor with 3-point hitch than this one, because it's pretty heavy. I think it's like 1,500 pounds, and then you can put another like a 1,500 pound bale in it or something. It gets heavy when you load it with a bale. I'll turn it on, and you can see what it's doing right here. I mean, this right here is all that makes this thing work. Is you push the bale up with this, like you seen me doing. This rotates the bale, and this tears the bale apart. And that's all there is to it. It's really, really simple. There's a drive chain. There's a drive chain under this thing here where it says chainless. I find that kind of humorous that a chain cover says chainless, but what they're talking about is there's no chain that drives the bale. A lot of bale processors have a floor chain. This one doesn't. That's what they're talking about, chainless. But it does have a chain on both ends under these covers to drive these beaters. And everything's hydraulic. No PTO shaft. Right here's the hydraulic motor. Alright, that's about all I can tell you about it. This right here is supposed to help keep from throwing the core of the bale over. It does help a little bit if the core is still pretty good size and it tries to throw it over, but when the core gets really small, it can still spit it out into the square baler. This position here, you're supposed to put it in it to run a square bale, and it helps break up the bats of a square bale. Yeah, this thing will actually tear a square bale apart. And they make an extension so you can put the square bale in. You put it in long ways like this, and this thing here will rip out a bat, and then this kind of tears it up. You move this back, the bat will get up against this bar up here, and this can tear it up more. Without it, it just throws the whole bat out of the thing. So anyway, there it is. a Hustler chainless X2500. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see y'all on the next one.